So like always, I want to thank you guys for coming out and covering Penn State football. I want to thank the fans. We had a great crowd, and especially late in the game there, I think they really factored in, caused them to burn some timeouts, got some penalties, so that was significant for us. I think Sanders Sahidek coming out and making some big-time field goals, that was big, and it's going to pay dividends for us moving forward. Most importantly, you got to give Bowling Green a ton of credit. We talked about it during the week. In the last 3 years, they beat Minnesota, they beat Georgia Tech. Michigan last year was 14-6 at the half, 32 seniors, and you got to give them credit. They played their tail off. The moment wasn't too big for them. The opening drive showed that, and we were in a dogfight. So got to give them a ton of credit. Obviously, Ty Warren had a big game for us. Both running backs had a big games for us. And then I thought in the second half, we were able to calm down and get ahead of the sticks on defense. That was the issue in the first half. We were giving up too much on first down, creating manageable third down situations for most of the first half, and that was problematic. So obviously we got some work to do, but it's nice doing that work with a win. There's a ton of teams across the country that will be trying to make corrections after a loss, and we got to make a bunch of corrections after a win, and obviously we got some work to do. So again, I want to thank the crowd and thank you guys for coming out, and I open up the questions.
We'll start with Mark.
James, you touched on it, but how do you account for the difference in the performance of the defense from the first half to the second half? Is that scheme? Is it effort? What were the things that kind of went into that?
I know I'm going to give the answer that you guys hate, but it's hard for me to really say that right now without watching the tape. No different than when I learned a long time ago as a head coach after a win like that. We talk about being 1-0 and being positive and being appreciative of the wins, and wins are hard to get in college football, of not going in there and starting critiquing after a win. And for really the same reasons, I don't want to say something that's not totally accurate without watching the tape yet. But I think the biggest thing in the second half, like I already mentioned, on defense, we were more efficient on first down, which created second and long and created third and long situations. We were ahead of the sticks. The whole first half we weren't. I think what happens early on, and it's happened for the last couple years, and we got to look at this, I think early on we're trying to make plays rather than play the defense. Getting out of our gaps, trying to make plays, doing things that we haven't done during the week, and we got to get those things cleaned up for sure.
Jared, then Rich.
Hey, Coach Franklin. Right here.
To the left.
Obviously, last year we saw a little bit of Tony Rojas, and he was a game wrecker. And what we did see through 2 games, we've seen a bunch of that now. Can you kind of talk about his role to the team and what he's contributed so far through 2 games?
Yeah, I think you guys know we've been talking positively about him really since we recruited him and since he showed on campus. The way his body has changed, his production. He's big, fast, smart, physical. Can do a lot of different things, and it's not just tackles in the box. He's a sideline guy, as well as a guy that can obviously make plays in coverage. I think that's maybe some things that maybe people have saw on tape. He's had some opportunities to cover backs one-on-one on wheel routes and things like that, and he's done a nice job. And then today to be able to undercut that route and get an interception was big.
Rich, then Tyler.
James, to your right, next to Mark.
Hey, Rich.
Hi.
Are you usually over here?
I'm usually sitting down, but I like Mark Brennan, so I wanted to stand next to him.
Gotcha.
Okay. You've long talked about the value of Nick and Katron. How valuable were those two today to this win?
Yeah, I think, there was a lot of buzzing, I think, last week, according to Chris Peterson, about Katron Allen and yards per carry and production and all those types of things. Both of these guys, Nick averages 9.2, Katron averages 7.2, both for over 100 yards. And to be able to have that type of balance in the passing game and in the run game, I think is really important. The thing that we have got to get better at is we got to be better on third down, because we're not getting enough plays to be able to distribute the ball around to all of our guys. We're not getting enough plays to do it. And the way to resolve that is be better on third down, or obviously get the first downs on first and second down, never even get the third down, but we gotta get more plays. That will help our offense out significantly, but also help our defense out significantly.
Tyler, then Pickle.
Thanks, James. Curious, going back to the tight end position, I know I asked you going up into the week, but with Andrew not being available, we saw him apparently using crutch to the sideline. Is that a long-term injury issue that we need to be aware of? And because of this, it seems like Luke has been thrust into games back-to-back weeks. Are you increasingly comfortable with him playing more as a freshman?
Yeah, Luke's a guy that we have a ton of confidence in, not only physically, but just how he's approached things since he stepped on campus as a true freshman. Been very impressed with him. I can't really speak at this stage on rap just because I don't know. To be honest with you, this was very, very recent. This happened, so I don't have the information to give to you. And as you guys know, I won't talk about injuries with you guys until I've talked to the players and their families and made sure everybody's okay with the information. But I also, again, I don't know. It was very recent.
Pickle, and then Clay.
Coach, what can you tell us about why KJ Winston only played the first quarter, I think maybe one play in the second quarter, and then the guys that came in and took the snaps he would usually get? How do you think initially those guys performed?
Yeah, again, I can't get into KJ Winston and why he wasn't in there. As you guys know, I don't talk about those things, but it obviously increased the amount of reps, for Jay Reed, and increased the amount of reps for Zachy, and also kind of changed our ability to be able to get into the package where Jay Reed is playing the Lion position. So. We needed to be in base a little bit more. It's hard to get in Prowler if they don't substitute on third down, which is what a lot of people are doing. They won't substitute on third down, so then we can't get our Prowler on the field, which is our rush package, which is a smart plan, right? It's a smart plan. So those are some things that we're going to have to work on specifically during the bye week. Those will be important.
Clay, and then Neil.
Coach, historically, you're...
You usually wear glasses, Clay?
No.
It's a good look.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Historically, your quarterbacks have always had that go-to receiver that they just have this trust in, with Sean and Shahan. Is Tyler Warren become that right now for Drew after another really impressive performance?
Yeah, I think there's a number of guys. I think Tyler Warren was the guy today that got a bunch of opportunities and made the most of them. Obviously, his play count and opportunities went up because we didn't have rap available, so that was part of that as well. Last week, everybody was talking about Trey, right? So that's just kind of how things are going to go. But again, that goes back to my point earlier. We just got to get more plays on offense. We got to get off the field on defense, and we got to sustain drives on offense so that we can get more guys involved and more touches.
Last question to Neil.
James, just a preparation question. Did you feel like on defense you guys were as quick as you were last week? And did having a bye next week affect how you approach this week at all?
No, the bye next week didn't affect how we looked at this week or prepared for this week. No, that didn't factor in. But in terms of how we played against West Virginia on D, against a team that we think is going to give people fits, obviously we were much more productive against West Virginia on the defensive side of the ball. And to your point, flying around the field, being disruptive, making plays. And again, I'm not one of these coaches where I'm not going to give credit to Bowling Green. That's Bowling Green giving them credit for their plan and their players, and then it's also us, making sure we're doing a good job with our plan and our players, going out and executing. It's literally both. No different than last week. I think our defense created some of those problems and issues and caused stress. So it's weird to have a bye week after your second game, but I think it's going to be important for us, and we're going to need to maximize this time. And then obviously we'll get focused on our next opponent. But appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate the questions, and most importantly, I appreciate the fans coming out and supporting Penn State football.
Thank you, Coach.
See you guys.